going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Leo's Nerd Talk, and today we're going to be going over Demon Slayer the movie Infinity Castle. So let's get into that. Hi, my name is Leo, and if you guys like talking with the movie, TV show, video game later, or just anything nerdy, you are in the right place. And like I said, today we are talking about Demon Slayer Infinity Castle. So without further ado, let's get into the review. Now, before I get started on this review, I want to make it perfectly clear, I am not the most knowledgeable person on Demon Slayer. I've seen a good amount of it, and this was something that my buddy definitely wanted to go watch. He has seen Demon Slayer all the way through. He's read all the mangas, and I like Demon Slayer to a certain extent, but I haven't been all the way caught up to be fully in the know when it comes to going into this movie. But I knew enough about it so that I wasn't completely lost. Like I said, I've seen pretty much the first two seasons, the first movie, kind of the beginning and the end of like season 3 and stuff. So I know enough to kind of get a grasp of what the story is really kind of going for here. And with Infinity Castle, this is, from what it seems like, presumably the beginning of the end. This kind of looks like a part 1 of 2, or maybe a part 1 of 3, where we're starting to fight all the upper demons and just kind of going through this huge maze of, this Infinity Castle, I guess, if you want to call it that way, where it's just endless amount of demons and endless amount of locations where everybody can be, and they're trying to traverse through this area, trying to find all the upper demons and trying to kill them and kind of get to pretty much defeat everybody if possible. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into my pros. And start with my pros. Obviously, it's going to be the visuals. The visuals of this movie were absolutely jaw-dropping, especially watching it in IMAX. Absolutely gorgeous. All the different breathing forms, all the different battle sequences, or the lighting, or how it looked like when they were falling through this location stuff, or all the demon designs and stuff like that. Everything was absolutely gorgeous, and all kind of packed in with this incredible score that just elevated all that as well throughout all the battles. This just really riveting score and music coming through that just enhances everything that you're watching on screen. It just makes you kind of tense up in your seat and kind of go to the edge of your seat and just like be so locked into what is going on screen. So visuals, the score, the battles, the action, all that just combining together just were absolutely incredible. There was like no flaws in that at all for me. Just the animation of this anime was absolutely impeccable. And like I said, I don't know too much about Demon Slayer, so I was contemplating even doing this review because I didn't want to talk about things that I wasn't fully aware of. But I figured I'll still just give you my thoughts overall for people that want to go watch the movie, or for people that have never seen Demon Slayer. This is kind of like a review for you to kind of see if you would like to get into it. In terms of the story, I think the story was absolutely amazing. Also, there's a lot of like subplots and things that go on, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But overall, the story I think is incredible, of just these people going to this location, trying to find all the demons and just trying to kind of avenge like their master and stuff like that. And, avenge all the people that were part of the demon corps that turned and became a demon and didn't, follow their oath and stuff of being a demon slayer. So it was just kind of a big emotional ride for sure for most of these characters. There's a lot of emotion going on with, certain people from the demon corps finding demons that killed loved ones or kind of ruined their life, or seeing stories of why a human turned into a demon in the first place. And seeing all that throughout the entire movie was very kind of emotional for every single one of these characters, and kind of keeps you invested as well. Again, we'll get a little bit more into details about that a little bit later, because I do have some gripes about it. But overall, when it comes to like the actual story and the backstories and what it's trying to say, what it's the story of these specific characters and their arc that they're going through towards the end of this stuff, it all was very nicely done. I think it was very nicely paced towards the beginning and stuff like that. And it just, even if you don't know who these characters are, or you don't follow Demon Slayer, or you've never read the manga, or whatever the case, you can see how you can quickly invest yourself in most of these characters, because they are very interesting in such a short period of time that you get with them in this movie. Even if you haven't seen the entire anime, they are interesting enough that you invest yourself in these characters. And even for the people that are supposed to be the bad guys, you still find yourself kind of sympathizing with them a little bit because of their backstory and the tragedies that happened to their life that led them to this point where they are right now. So all the characters and all the character work, you just invest yourself in everybody and you just love being in this world. It's easy to just kind of seep yourself into this world and just kind of be in awe. And for me, since I have seen a decent amount of Demon Slayer, for me, these characters, I love seeing them and their arc from where they started off in the series to where they are now. You have certain characters that were pretty much afraid of everything. They were never brave enough. They never wanted to go attack into demons and stuff. And now they are just straight up aura farming this entire movie and battling some of the highest ranked demons and holding their own by themselves, or someone that's kind of supposed to be a weakling and was never supposed to be a master, and now he's mastering all these different elements, mastering different forms, and mastering a new technique that hasn't been seen before and stuff like that. So seeing this arc of all these different characters of where they were when they were just kids, barely starting off in the demon core, to where they are now fighting the uppers, great character arc. And again, it shows you enough in this movie where you can see that character arc without even watching the full series of Demon Slayer. So you still do get a little bit of that element of their character arc, where they were before when they first started in Demon Core to where they are now, and just see their growth that they've had over the years. But overall, I just think this was an absolute amazing movie. One of the best movies of the year for sure. For me, one of the best animated movies of all time. Just incredible sequences, incredible artwork and animation and music and battles and story. It just felt like one of those, top tier anime movies. So if you've never seen Demon Slayer, I still highly recommend going and watching it. This might interest you into going into to the series now and actually watching the full show. But of course, you're walking into basically the end. So if you don't want to spoil yourself, you might want to watch the series first before watching this movie. But overall, I do still think this is an amazing movie to go watch in theaters, just purely for the visuals and music alone. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into my cons. And my biggest gripe with this movie, and it's really something that kind of happens throughout the entire anime anyways, and it happens a lot in anime in general, but in this movie I felt like it was a little overdone, and that is the amount of backstories that we got. We are in a moment, or in a time in this series where we're towards the end of this story as a whole, and we're barely learning things about certain characters through flashbacks and backstories and things like that. And it happens a lot. Like, there's probably 40 minutes worth of backstories that could have been cut out, and it would have made the movie a damn near perfect film, a damn near 5 out of 5. But because these backstories happen so often, they're 5-10 minutes each, you do feel a little bit of the length, especially towards the end, where it feels like it slows down heavy, because the first half of the movie is super action packed, and then you get to the later half when we're fighting the upper three, and the backstories that we're getting there are like 15-20 minutes long, and they drag quite a bit. Don't get me wrong, I like the backstory overall. What the backstory was, or the flashback, was emotional, and it was a great character arc for this specific character, but it just felt like it took so long and it dragged very heavy. I don't think this movie should have been over 2 hours. Personally, it should have been like an hour 50, if that, but it's 2 hours 35, right? So just the pacing issues towards the end, every little realization of each character while they're in battle, of a new technique to use, or a little comment that's made and it goes into a flashback, like that happens so often, where it really just pumps the brake on you heavy in the middle of the action, and that's where you can start feeling the pacing a little bit. Now, the only other thing that I would say too is, because there is so much to tell in this story, you have moments where there's certain side stories that happen, and we don't really circle back to it until pretty much the end of it. And because there's so much to tell, you have that really that problem that movies like this have, where you have that part 1, part 2 kind of issue, where you stop at a very abrupt point where it doesn't feel like a proper conclusion. And there's so many characters that we saw throughout the movie that really didn't have anything to do with it. They kind of just pop in and out here and there. So if you cut that out, the movie wouldn't feel any different at all. And so now you're left in a moment where you want to see what happens, but now we have to wait who knows how long for the next part. And even if the next part is going to be a conclusion, because I've seen through articles that there's going to be 3 parts to this little ending. So that is something where it's a little disappointing, where you leave this movie not necessarily fully satisfied. It ends pretty abruptly, and it's not a proper conclusion, where this movie doesn't feel like it can stand alone um, overall. Like, you jump in basically feeling like in the middle of a scene, and you leave in the middle of the scene. It doesn't feel like there's a beginning or an end. And that's the only thing about this movie where I guess you probably would want to watch the show first, because it just doesn't feel like a standalone film. But that is going to be it for this one, guys. Let me know what you guys thought about Demon Slayer, The Infinity Castle. Have you guys checked it out? Are you guys a fan of anime? Are you guys a fan of the show? Definitely let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. But again, if you guys like talking about movie, TV show, video game later, or just anything nerdy, you are in the right place. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you.